Magandang araw po. Welcome again to another episode of our MTRCB UNCUT. Please join me in welcoming my younger brother, the Pangasinan 4th District Representative, the Honorable Millennial Congressman, Christopher Toff Vera Perez de Venecia. Thank you for joining us, Toff.
Hi, Chair Rachel. Hello, and magandang araw sa lahat ng mga nanonood sa atin ngayon. And of course sa iyo, Chair Rachel. My big sis.
Alam mo naman, maraming nawalan ng trabaho sa entertainment industry dahil sa pandemic and also the non-renewal of the franchise of ABS. Yeah. Meron bang mga, alam ko marami na napag-uusapan sa house because of you, sa mga plano natin sa mga workers, sa mga creative workforce at na talagang matinding natamaan. So, can you at least tell our viewers ano yung mga plano sa house headed by you actually?
Yeah, so when we were discussing the stimulus bill last year, which was then called Arise, and eventually it became Bayanihan to Recover S1 Act, we were really aggressively lobbying for the inclusion of freelancers dun sa cash assistance program. Because syempre nung Bayanihan 1, na-identify yung priority sectors and hindi nasama yung freelancers doon kasi medyo kakaiba yung status nila. Hindi sila may tuturing na mga indigent at hindi rin naman sila employees. So hindi sila nakatanggap ng ayuda at hindi rin sila nakatanggap ng camp mula sa DOLE. So ito yung talagang pinaglaban natin, and thankfully with the help of our industry stakeholders also, it made it to the final version of the bill and as passed into law. So you would think na okay, great, di ba? Magkakaroon sila ng tulong. Pero of course, implementation is another issue altogether. So we're so happy because si Speaker Lord Alan Velasco really came to the call and responded to the call para matulungan ng ating mga freelancers. So nakapag-carve out ng significant amount ang lower house para sa tulong for mga freelancers natin. And yan yung medyo inasikaso ko ngayon kasi syempre nung mga December, everyone was on panic mode kasi baka mag-expire na yung funds ng Bayanihan 2.
Oo.
Pero buti nila na-extend hanggang June 30 na ata. So better, at least there's time to be able to implement and make sure that these funds get to the freelancers as originally planned. And yan yung tinutudukan ko ngayon. So, I have several meetings lined up this week and have to activate again para i-make sure na yung freelancers natin, I think about 160 million pesos was carved out for them. So that's about 26 to 30,000 freelancers who will get significant cash assistance.
Pero sino mag-i-implement, Cong Toff? Who's going to implement? I mean, where was the 160 million downloaded?
Of course, DOLE. DOLE will be the one to provide the cash assistance. Initially, it was going to be TUPAD. So there had to be some kind of service that had to be rendered. And we enjoined all of the business support organizations na katrabaho natin over the past few months na umisip sila ng creative ideas na anong pwedeng trabaho ang pwede nilang i-render. Pero si Sec Bello was able to parang make the restrictions a little bit more accommodating towards freelancers. So naging parang camp na instead of TUPAD. So meaning to say it's direct cash assistance na.
Which is actually better, di ba?
Which is better. Oo, kasi, I mean, di ba, as it is, yung freelancers natin, ang dami na nilang contribution sa ating ekonomiya, sa society natin, tapos biglang hindi pa sila na-appreciate. And karamihan sa kanila, medyo nag-formalize na into the economy, as in, nag-rehistro na sila sa BIR, they are, tax-paying citizens na. So meaning to say they should be able to be entitled to this kind of support from the state.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
so
So,
I'm happy with the developments dito sa cash assistance sa freelancers natin.
so the cash assistance, when do you think will that be rolled out na this first quarter of the year?
Yeah, well, I mean, as of last year, I think some 5,000 to 6,000 already received yung support na is due them. Pero again, the target was really 30,000. So I think there are just some
5,000, you mean, Cong Toff? 5,000 freelance workers already received by last year.
yes, by last year. So maybe they were already in the database of Dole, at least insofar as those who are employees in creative firms, because maybe they received camp before. So and then the freelancers naman, those who were able to successfully sign up in the Dole website, sila yung of course na bigyan ng tulong, no? Pero I think na-overwhelm ngayon yung Dole website because of the registrations that are happening. And then maraming mga bottlenecks din na nangyayari. Minsan kulang sa requirements or minsan yung sa part ng implementing agency, baka yung agent na in charge, baka hindi niya alam siguro yung mga patakaran pa.
Ang
Because
dami kasing requirements, di ba? Sobrang
yes,
dami requirements. But is that application ongoing? So for those who want to apply for cash assistance, they should go, they will just log into the Dole website. Ganun ba?
yes, oo. Well, again, we are set to have an alignment meeting with Dole this week because, we've been getting a lot of feedback also from the freelancers. Ano yung mga challenges so far as implementation? Ano yung mga hitch na encounter nila? So yun yung gusto nating padaliin at ma-address kasama ng Dole. And of course, kami sa Congress, we are offering our support every step of the way. So kami yung nagsisilbing parang conduit din between yung mga freelancers natin at saka yung Dole para yun nga, yung intended assistance para sa freelancers mapunta sa kanila.
Okay. Para at least alam lang ng mga nakikinig sa atin that they can still apply, ongoing pa rin, and that if ever na meron pa silang mga katalungan o kailangan nila ng assistance, the Office of Congressman de Venecia can also assist them. Tama ba, Cong Toff?
Yes, correct. Pero siguro ako ini-encourage ko yung mga freelancers natin na sumapi sa mga organizations.
Yes.
Kasi ang hirap kasi pag isa-isa yung kausap mo, hindi mo rin alam yung affiliation nila, it's hard to get kung sino tong taong to. And like pag may mga tulong na nanggagaling sa gobyerno, mas madali pag isa lang yung kausap, and that's why we've been encouraging lahat ng mga sectors na nakakausap namin sa creative industry sa mag-organize. It's better because kung may mga programa na pwedeng i-roll out, pwedeng kausapin na lang yung mga pinuno and then ika-cascade sa mga miyembro.
Oo, para kumbaga naka-consolidate na sila, hindi yung isa-isa, That's easier. Yeah, and faster also to implement, right?
Correct. That's why, like for film, for example, kausap namin both Film Development Council with Chair Liza Dino, and then also the Interguild Alliance, in which most stakeholders from different sectors of the film industry are there and ably represented. And so it was a simple message in our Viber group with them, and then basically the heads got in touch with their members and then submitted to us like the database, and then yun na rin yung in-endorse namin sa Dole. So again, sa lahat ng freelancers na nanonood ngayon, better na join tayo sa mga organization.
You authored and co-authored several bills, that aims to help the industry. Kabilang na ang mga panukalang batas na layong protektahan ng mga artista at maging mga freelancers. There was also the Eddie Garcia bill. Oh, yeah. Can you tell me more about this, please?
Yeah, so this creative industry bill proposes to create a creative industry development council, which has representation both from the private and the public sector. And that's very important kasi kailangan may boses yung creative industry stakeholders sa paggawa ng mga polisiya at programa na basically maka-benefit sa kanila. And it also institutionalizes a lot of programs that will ultimately benefit yung ating creative industries. Ako, ang pinaka-importante dito is it seeks to create a roadmap, no, for the industry. And you have an industry that is currently fragmented, and a lot of them have not even industrialized, and meaning to say, hindi pa nagfo-formalize, hindi pa sila nag-uusap-usap para i-determine ano ba yung mga strategies natin moving forward, ano ba yung mga problema na kailangang solusyonan, at ano ba yung pangarap natin para sa industriya natin ito. So everything, no, from architecture, and then you have comic books, and you have art toys, and then you have film,
Ang
television.
dami di ba? That was also what was being sort of debated during the TWG. Kasi to identify ano yung mga creative groups, di ba? Ang dami kasi, yeah.
We're basing it currently right now on the UNCTAD definition and the sectors that were identified. There's also a proposal from the Creative Economy Council to sort of segregate them according to domains. So of course you have the heritage, and then you have design, and like many other domains. So again, it's really subject to style, and we have a working group actually this coming week para i-hash out lahat ng mga comments from the previous TWG para coming into the next one, may updated version na naman ng bill na isasubmit sa lahat ng mga resource persons kasama na dyan ng MTRCB para yun yung pagdidebatihan natin sa next session. So, maganda yung layunin. Marami lang kailangang i-iron out. At maraming kailangang i-highlight ng mga programs. So, parang the comment was, tanggalin siya sa objective ng council, and it will be a separate section altogether, whether it's infrastructure support for creative industry sectors, or whether it's incentives, or whether it's the creation of creative economic zones. Kasi diba, it's important na to get yung creatives together, working in the same space.
Ganda yun.
There's this millennial concept of
Yes.
Diba? Parang co-working space.
Oo.
And yung creatives kasi pag magsama-sama sa isang lugar, parang nasi-stimulate yung creativity. And nag-cross-pollinate yung ideas from different industries. So even ako as a theater director, I mean, I like collaborating with other industries and fields as well. I usually infuse yung theater work ko with visual arts because I'm always so fascinated by it. And then, of course, I've also participated in some projects na are jukebox musicals. And so it draws naman from the power of the music industry, yung catalog ng mga singer-songwriters natin, and then ita-transpose mo siya into theater. So maganda yung kinalalabasan pag nagsasama-sama yung mga creative industries natin. So yun yung parang siguro pangarap rin natin na magkaroon ng mga creative hubs dito sa bansa. And you're starting to see it sprout in Cebu, in Baguio. Of course, you have Manila. And then, of course, in Makati, diba, you have Poblacion. And so we need more of that, no? We need more of these mga nexus of mga creative industries coming together, but you need to incentivize them to sort of come together in a certain space. And it will also propel the development in that particular locality.
Pero meron din like itong mga kasama ko dito, nakasmile dahil yan talaga ang gusto nila, yung mga creative hubs. Pero alam ko, syempre because of this pandemic, meron din mga nagsara. Yung mga iilan na nga lang nagsara pa din. So, siguro this would also help them, di ba, na ma-inspire sila na buksan ulit, no? At dumami yung mga creative hubs. Also, you mentioned yung what do you call this, yung theater. So, kamusta yung, paano ngayon yung mga plays? I mean, are there plans ongoing, you know, kasi itong past 2-3 years, ang dami mong mga plays, di ba? So, paano ngayon, how are you going to do it now? I
Well,
mean,
ayun, kung struggling ang film industry, mas struggling ang live events industry. Actually, nag-meeting nga kami kahapon. Ka-meeting namin yung isang behavioral science and research firm who wanted to sort of help us out in terms of figuring out some strategies moving forward, no? Kasi, you know, I'm also an officer of the business support organization for theater for producers, which is called PhilStage. And we have about 16 to 17 member companies. And, you know, after the lockdown last March 2020, wala nang nakapag-produce ng show. And so, kung wala nagpa-produce, wala rin kabuhayan yung aming mga workers. And then coming into 2021, medyo kakaunti pa lang sa aming members ang nagbabalak mag-produce kasi again, there is anxiety. You know, producers are demotivated. There's a lot of risk already involved when you produce outside of the pandemic. Kasi you don't know kung papatok ba yung show, and unlike film that can be canned, the live event has to happen there and then, and outside of that tapos na. And that's part of the beauty of theater. It's like you have to be there in the room where it happens, sabi nga sa Hamilton. So medyo challenging ngayon for theater and the performing arts sa 2021. Some surveys have been rolled out, and ang condition ng audiences to go back to the theater is ang pinaka-top na sagot ng mga respondents sa survey is hanggang may vaccine. So yun yung kung nakahinge sa vaccine yung pagpunta nila sa theater, 'di ba? Kung this year pa lang roll out, I mean, who knows kung magkakaroon ng any kind of show this year. So kailangan umisip ng mga bagong products, ng mga bagong services. And meron naman sa mga hanay namin kahit papaano ang nagpipivot into online. Whether or not they recoup their investment is another question altogether. So in terms of yung sustainability nung pivot ng performing arts into the digital space, medyo yan yung fin-figure out pa rin ngayon, which I'm sure yun yung challenge ng film industry. Kaya nga pagbalik sa Kongreso ngayon, we're set to file a resolution also to look into the rampant online piracy.
Ito yung si MMFF lang, di ba?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. No? It's heartbreaking to hear from, for example, the producers of Fangirl, which I love, by the way, na yung pelikula nila napipirata, no? And kumbaga struggling na nga tong industry na to, tapos pinapaktapakan mo pa.
I know also that you're pushing for TV and movie tourism. You think yung makakarating tayo dun sa stage like, you know, the Korean telenovelas na dinadayo ng mga tao? What do you think should be in place para marating natin yon?
If tourism is the goal of film and television incentives that should be provided to our producers as a form of stimulus and support, then parang we saw some kind of convergence between this Film Philippines office that we're planning to institutionalize, and also the Tourism Promotions Board of the DOT, which has a lot of funds. And their goal is to, of course, promote tourism in the Philippines. And that's why, you know, they invest significantly in mga billboards abroad, electronic billboards, advertising and everything. Pero there's so much power in media. and being able to use media to attract tourists to come to our shores. I mean, that's essentially the power of K-drama, right? When you watch a K-drama, parang nahumaling ka sa South Korea, gusto mong pumunta. Kung may nakikita kang pagkain na kinakain nila. Of course, I mean, I just finished Startup on Netflix, which is so nice, by the way.
Ano? I watched it too.
Diba? Yun yung pinapanood ngayon ni Mom. Kasi sabi ko, ang ganda, basta ang ganda and it's feel good and you learn so much about the whole startup industry. Parang because I watch Startup, parang napapaisip ako, hey, maybe I wanna have my own startup someday. Because heavily featured sa startup yung corn dogs. Syempre, at some point, parang naghanap na ako ng corn dogs. And I remember when I was talking to some members of Actor, yung organization ng mga actors headed by Ding Dong Dantes. And I was asking them, kamusta na yung actor tindahan ninyo? Kamusta na yung parang online store ninyo for yung mga members nyo na nagbebenta ng mga food business nila? Sabi na, ayun, ang pinakamabenta daw nung time ng startup is yung corn dogs. So I was like, see, that's really the power of media, no? It really helps shape your behavior. Ang laki ng influence ng media, and can you imagine what it can do for our tourism as well? Especially if it features, you know, the best places in the country when it features our culture. And, you know, as somebody who actively also participates and consumes yung mga content ngayon online, I think nung 2020 talagang naging very popular yung BL, no? Or yung Boys Love. And when you watch yung mga content nila, they always significantly feature some kind of food, whether it's pancit canton or pancit canton in a pandesal or whatever. And then when you hear about all these like mga online reactors from other countries, which is uso right now, online reacting to shows. You watch a show and you're reacting to the show, and then you record yourself reacting to the show, and then people watch you watching the show. You see all these foreigners wanting to come to the Philippines because of what they see in the content, and you also see them wanting to try pancit canton or try pancit canton and pandesal. So nakakatuwa kasi yung influence talaga ng media sa tao is napakalaki, and ito yung potential na gusto nating ma-harness nitong Film and TV Incentive Bill na ito. Because imagine media culture can help collectively shape the dreams and aspirations of a people. Diba? So hopefully talagang mag-progress tong bill na to. It was sort of languishing for the longest time. It was previously referred to another committee. But then since na-create yung special committee namin, and I'm really nakatutok and determined to, you know, move a lot of legislation through the lower house that will service the creative industries. The Film and TV Incentives Bill were already re-referred to our special committee. So mas matututukan na.
For National Committee. So this hearing will start already this quarter.
Yes, this month definitely.
For the incentive bill. Also pero meron na rin siyang sinong nag-counterpart bill sa Senate.
Ng Film and TV Incentives, I'm not sure if Senator Grace or Senator Bong, but thank you for reminding me that, because yeah, we are a bicameral legislature, so kailangan may counterpart bill. I will look into this kasi admittedly, ang nakatuto ko ngayon dun sa creative industry bill, pati dun sa freelancer bill na final ko along with several other congressmen na nasa Committee on Labor ngayon.
And both have been filed also in the Senate.
Yeah, yung freelance bill, ang counterpart doon sa Senate ay si Senator Joel Villanueva.
It's good.
And then yung Eddie Garcia bill naman, ako rin yung tumutok sa lower house, at least pasado na siya on third reading. And minessage ko si Senator Bong Revilla kasi siya yung counterpart sa Senate para kalampagin na yung Labor Committee which I think is chaired by Senator Joel also, para i-schedule na siya for hearing ASAP.
Para maipasa na natin this 18th Congress, di ba?
Yeah, at saka I think it's a fitting tribute also for the 100 years of Philippine cinema.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Which we celebrated last September, I believe.
Alam mo, papaalala ko lang dun sa mga nanonood sa atin na child star dati si Cong Toff.
Oh God.
Yung sa Bull, sa sitcom ng Over the Bacot. At syempre si Billy Billionario. Actually, pag umikot ka sa district, lagi ko sinasabi, si Billy Billionario yan. But how was your ano yung ma-experience mo sa child actor?
You know that whole paradigm before na if a tree falls in the forest and there was nobody there to see it, then did the tree actually fall? So of course that has since evolved in the age of social media and the fourth industrial revolution, which we're in the thick of right now. Na parang if it wasn't in social media, did it really happen? Parang ganun yung paradigm or mindset ng tao. Karamihan ng tao ngayon, especially mga millennial and Gen Z. So sometimes I feel like I've become an unreliable narrator. Feeling ko parang yung memories ko parang did they really happen or are they imagined? And maybe it has to do with like the amount of information that's coming into my brain and it doesn't have the capacity to store all of that. So may mga information and data na talaga matatanggal as you receive new ones. Either that or nung 2004 when my sister passed away, si Casey, parang I think yung trauma from what happened then also made me forget a lot of things that happened before her death.
Pero yun ba, was that the reason why you became a stage actor? I mean, a stage director? I mean, was that the reason? Parang yun ba yung nag-push sa'yo? Or what made you want to be a stage director and a producer?
It was my sister's death in 2004 kasi parang prior to me joining the theater, siya yung nauna eh. Siya yung naunang nag-workshop, which I didn't even know, believe it or not.
Nag-workshop ba si Casey? She wanted to.
Yeah, she dabbled. She dabbled in theater, which I didn't even know because she had this whole life that I didn't know about. Because we were close, but we were also not close. And she was very secretive about a lot of things. Like we didn't even know she had a boyfriend. We found out na lang later on in some kind of correspondences that they had. So she did theater, and I suppose I wanted to be as close to her as possible, which is why I enrolled in a workshop in the summer after she passed. And I actually enrolled in 2 workshops in time na yun. One was for photography with Mandy Navasero, I remember. And another one was a theater workshop with Repertory Philippines. And obviously, yung workshop na talagang natutukan ko and which sparked the fire in me was yung theater. And so I started as an actor, and then soon after I realized na parang mas gusto ko parang mas enjoy ko yung community and yung act of creation rather than being an actor and being on stage. And especially like, I have anxiety, so I'm like parati yung kinakabahan when I'm performing on stage in front of people. Parang I don't get my high there when I perform and then I make my bow during curtain call. Yung high ko is being around the community eh. And so that's sort of also when I realized na maybe I want to be part of this community, but not necessarily as an actor. And so I dabbled in a lot of different jobs in the theater, from production management, assistant directing. And then eventually when I became a director, dun ko parang na-enjoy yung ideation, yung page-to-stage process na babasa ka ng script tapos you're gonna dream it up in your head and then you're going to put it up in a theater for audiences to come see. And yung high ko was that journey and then also seeing my actors when they bow get applauded. Um, and then eventually I put up my own theater company and yung high ko medyo nag-shift from directing, which I still do. And hopefully I get to do it again when things are better from the pandemic. Nag-shift siya from directing to producing. Because there's something about producing and bringing people together, tapping the right director, and working with the director to tap the right creative team and the actors, and then working with the marketing team and the production team to be able to get those audiences into the theater. Parang the total event and the total value chain of the theater, you're sort of on top of it and you are part of it. That's something that I've come to
Your
enjoy.
high from.
Yes, oo.
Alam mo,
So,
may tanong dito eh. Marami nagtatanong kasi na, nanggaling yung creative background mo, then napunta ka sa politika. Eh, lagi kong sinasagot sa kanila, nasa dugo mo yun eh. Hindi mo maiiwasan yun. I mean, so tinatanong pa rin nila, what made you go into politics? But aside from nasa
obviously, yung mga
dugo mo na yun.
magulang ko.
And I just want to say, dahil nakita ko rin I saw you nung maliit ka pa hanggang lumaki ka na. And I'm very proud of you talaga. Every time I go to the district, I tell people na, alam mo si Toff hindi yan politiko. He's a public servant, just like me. Well, what you see is what you get. Napakasipag, he reads a lot. And ayaw niya yung very straightforward. And dapat naman kasi talaga ganun na talaga ngayon. Di ba?
Yeah.
I mean, yung politika na nakasanayan natin, na yung kinagisnan natin nung araw, should change already.
Correct. Yeah.
Di ba? So, do you have any regrets that you entered public service?
Well, I mean, when you're in the crucible of certain, issues that are not popular with social media, then you regret during those times because you also have to endure a lot of hurt and a lot of pain when you're in politics. So yes, there's semi-regret during those moments, but then there's a lot of fulfillment also. And there's a lot of joy when you're able to extend help to your constituents first and foremost, when you're able to help better the lives of people. And then now that, I've also taken up this cause of championing the creative industries, when you're able to help move these potential growth areas of our economy along, help them realize their goals, help them achieve their dreams. Parang, there's really a lot of fulfillment to be derived from that. So there's a lot of pain, but then there's also a lot of pride, and there's a lot of fulfillment that can be derived in public service. And isa sa mga pinaka best advice na binigay sa akin is that sometimes it's not always about following your passion. Sometimes it's about channeling your passion in whatever you choose to do. And so, I see my work now in government, in Congress, juxtaposed with my passion for the creative industries. I see it as a sort of synthesis of everything I've done in my life up to this point. And I'm now able to use, policy work to be able to help out a sector that I love so dearly, which is yung ating creative industries. And I didn't realize na, wow, ang dami palang mga unharnessed potential and opportunities sa mga sector na to. They've managed to be strong on their own with hardly any kind of support from government. And imagine if the state finally decided to pay attention the same way that South Korea has done with their creative industries in 1997 during the time of Kim Dae-jung, when they identified, content creation as a possible revenue and growth opportunity for the country, especially as in the wake of the Asian financial crisis, and as cheap manufacturing, which was the primary driver of their economy, it left the country because it went to China. One of the things that I'm also passionately lobbying and championing now is yung cultural diplomacy. Because there's so much that soft power can do, that the harder types of power are not able to do. You know what I mean? Parang there's so much that you can do. There's so much that can bring countries, nations together through the power of culture, because diba? I mean, who will start wars really over an exchange of film, you know what I mean, or an exchange of performance art, or any kind of bastion of our cultural heritage, diba? It's actually something that unites us. And so that's another thing that I'm quite exploring. Medyo nawala na ako sa thoughts ko. But I guess going back to your question, yeah, it's about channeling your passion also in what you do. So now I'm able to use this opportunity, this platform, this voice, and this influence of being a legislator to be able to help a sector that has been long ignored. And it's made the journey, despite the pain, despite the frustration sometimes, very much worth it.
Maraming ang nanonood sa atin, if it's okay with you, na gusto nila makita virtually yung tirahan or kwarto ng isang millennial congressman.
Oh my gosh.
Can you tour us?
Sure. Do we do this now? Okay, I guess we're doing this.
Bago ko basahin yung mga tanong ng mga netizens.
Okay, sige. So, this is my library. It's full of mga books on theater. I also have books on crystals kasi nahumaling ako sa crystals at some point. And, I started believing in energy and all of that. And then this is my couch area na hindi ko masyadong nagagamit because I'm always in my bed. And this is it's a shelf na wala pang laman, and then this is like my chair na hindi ko rin masyadong inuupuan.
Bigay mo na lang sa akin yan, chair na yan. Bala inuupuan yan.
Pero maganda siyang pan-display eh. And then this is like my bed. Ayan. And then this is the sliding door leading to my bathroom. Yeah. And then this is my workstation where I usually stay during our Zoom conferences. So it's basically my room in a nutshell. And then outside I have like the living area. Na medyo magulo, so I'm not gonna show it to you guys.
I love it. It's you. Ikaw yan.
Yeah, no, kasi over the holiday break, I was watching a Netflix documentary on minimalism. And so I was like, I realized, wow, parang yung travel bag ko na rechannel siya, and since we can't really travel right now, parang na-rechannel siya into online shopping.
Thank you for making us invade your private space. Ito na yung mga questions sa mga netizens. Marami na, pero pipili na lang ako na. Can you tell us your three favorite films?
I'm gonna single out na lang, I started this challenge when I was actively, participating in the Eddie Garcia bill. And I was like, you know what? I'm fighting for the welfare of our movie workers. I want to get to know this industry better. So I started this challenge this challenge of watching at least one Filipino film a day. And right now, Rach, believe it or not, nasa 150 na ako.
Talaga?
Yes, oo. Because I started this challenge like mga 4 or 5 months ago. The films that my favorites of the ones that I've seen, I think Fangirl. Fangirl is amazing. Even nung di ko pa nakikita yung trailer, already I was sort of excited by the poster and the little bits of news that was coming out of it. And so I was like, I wonder why I'm so energetically drawn to this film. And then eventually I got to see it and I was like, my heart was palpitating. I was like hyperventilating in excitement. It was very riveting. So that's a favorite film from last year. Another one is Babae at Baril. The one with Janine Gutierrez, which she won the Gawad Urian Best Actress for. Sobrang ganda. There's just something so cool, and there's something so cool about the scoring and how the way it was shot by Ray Red. But then Janine was fantastic in it. So was Elijah Canlas, who is a star to watch out for, really, alongside Charlie Dizon, a fangirl. And I don't know, I just loved, but there's like a Kill Bill kind of like woman getting her revenge that really swept me. And I don't know, it really I really love that film. I mean, there are not enough superlatives to describe how much I love that film. And what's a third one? Shucks, ang dami kong kailangang balikan ng mga listahan. Pero alam mo, Rach, sinusulat ko lahat ng films na pinapanood ko.
Maraming magaganda na I can understand why you can't remember sa dami mong napanood at sa dami ding magaganda na hindi natin mawa 1, 2, 3 na lang. But what do you currently binge watching on Netflix? Tapos ka na ba dun sa minimalism ba yun?
Yeah. Well, before I get to that, I remember na the third title, Through Night and Day, the one of Alessandra De Rossi and Paolo Contis. Sobrang ganda because I mean I love Iceland, but then also I don't know, that film just really got to me. I was like crying bucket.
Napanood ko yan.
So yun nga parang so right now I'm in this bubble na in terms of the kind of content that I'm consuming, parang I want to be Filipino first about it. And so bihira lang yung mga ever since I started this parang mission to be able to watch as many Filipino films as possible. Parang hindi na masyadong nakaka-consume ng foreign content. And that's both intentional and also consequential on my part, because intentional because gusto ko Filipino lang, and consequential because dahil nag-Filipino lang ako, pag nanonood ako ng mga foreign, parang it doesn't do it for me as much anymore. Parang hindi ako na-excite sa mga pinapanood ko as when I'm watching a Filipino film. So I'm kind of like in that headspace right now.
Dahil sa pandemya, maraming grupo ng mga artista mula sa iba't ibang sektor ang nabuo. Do you suggest that magkaroon sila that they should be active in the next election? Like, marami kasi nagsasabi na kailangan na may magrepresenta sa Kongreso.
Yeah.
Magrepresenta sa Kongreso na para sa kanilang mga pinaglalaban, although nandiyan ka naman. But now, naririnig ko lang, party list, ganyan. Do you suggest that?
Ayun, yes, totally. Kailangan natin ng mga dedicated legislators who will advocate for, you know, the rights of workers in the industry, as well as for growing the creative industries. Kailangan natin, Rach. Kasi like ako, I'm a district congressman, so parang I'm doing this for those freelancers in my district, although they're not as much because you know, it's something that sort of still is emerging from the district. But I'm primarily engaging in this kind of advocacy work because of my own personal background, and because most of my friends are sort of in that field, and I've also identified an opportunity to be able to grow our creative industry sector, given the kind of potential and given the kind of influence that it can do for the country, vis-a-vis the global community, di ba? Pero I think makaka-benefit kung meron tayong mga kunwari party list groups na talagang dedicated solely to the creative industries, whether sa movie industry pa yan, or visual arts, performing arts, or kung ano man, para merong nakatutok at dapat merong nag-rally para yung mga colleagues natin ay makinig. Kasi, di ba, parang libo-libo yung bills na fina-file sa Kongreso.
Parang
Samot-sari.
representation yung art community.
Yes, oo. Samot-sari kasi yung bills. So unless nangangalampag ka and unless nangungulit ka and you really see it through, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle.
That's true.
It's easy for the voice to get drowned out. And so parang right now, the kind of work that I've been doing for the creative industries, grabe, ang hirap pala. It's like when you are at the thick of championing the rights and kumbaga nakasalalay sa'yo yung mga karapatan nila, kung nasa lahat, yung mga tulong na dapat mapunta sa kanila, gagawin mo lahat ng iyong makakaya. And sometimes parang feeling ko ang kulit-kulit ko na sa kakatext sa tao, sa kakatawag, sa
Alam mo, kailangan eh.
kailangan eh.
Talaga, kailangan ka mag-text, kailangan ka mangulit. Kundi makakalimutan, like you said, your voice will be drowned.
Yes, and parang the nitty-gritties of legislation, parang you have to be there every step of the way. And so literally, parang I'm constantly plugged in social media, getting updates. As simple as as simple as yung budgetary, yung mga institutional amendments na gusto naming i-lobby dun sa 2021 GAA. Diba? So we were helping a lot of creative arts and cultural agencies for just a slight increase in their budget so that they can fund more programs. Wow, parang just the process of lobbying this budget, which spanned two leaderships, by the way. It started during the time of Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, and then eventually with Speaker Lord Alan Velasco. So you're talking to so many people, to be honest.
At saka kahit yung mga colleagues mo, kailangan mo ding kulitin.
Yes. And
sila kanya-kanika nilang concern, hindi mo rin sila ma-blame.
Yes, exactly. And so parang like literally had to message every member of the bicameral conference. This is the list of the institutional amendments. Please, please, please. And as constantly making Colette Speaker Lord. And then parang it was such a long and drawn out process na sobra akong napagod from just lobbying for budgetary increases for Philippine High School for the Arts, for DTI, so that meron tayong pondo for a creative industry roadmap, for NCCA, para merong assistance to creative industries. Parang,
alam mo,
wow.
kung dati, maraming kailangan i-follow up ng mga implementation. Mas pa ngayon, hindi lang implementation yung mga bagong mga panukala na kailangan gawin dahil nga dito sa pandemya ang nangyayari sa atin at mga grupo na mga naapektuhan. Alam mo, ang dami pang tanong eh. Marami kang mga na-attract ng mga millennials, Cong Toff. But for my last question, do you think that the millennials can still connect with the politicians?
I think so. I think you have to be able to ascertain what are the things that are important to you, and then you sort of find resonances with the politicians who essentially sort of represent those things that you're passionate about. And so, like, for example, in my work here in the creative industry sectors, parang I'm working with a lot of millennials. I'm working with a lot of young people who are thought leaders and industry stalwarts, believe it or not, for certain industries. Like yung mga kausap ko for comics, yung mga kausap ko for creative content, they're all young. Yung mga kausap ko for film, mostly young also. I mean, mix of old and young. And then also for live events. So yes, millennials can still connect definitely with politicians as long as they find resonances and intersectionalities between their belief systems. Meron at meron din naman. But I think, gaya nung sabi ni Yorme sa amin when we had like a forum with him, it's important now in this day and age to have a presence, a strong online presence.
Ay, oo.
Because it's also how you're able to connect with your audiences, especially yung mga millennials and mga Gen Z, because they're all plugged in. They're all constantly online. And yun nga, like I said, parang we're now at an age where if it's not on social media, it didn't happen. So
Correct.
now it's like public servants have to make an extra effort to make themselves seen and heard online.
Tsaka kailangan creative ka dahil short ang attention span ng mga millennials. There's so much going on also sa kanilang buhay, di ba? Actually, they make many things go on in their lives. It's not that really many things are going on. They really make things like that, di ba? But I hope we'll have another segment with you because I want to be updated. And syempre, yung mga nakikinig sa atin, gusto ma-update ko ano na nangyari dun sa mga bills na na-filed, ko ano ng stage dun ng mga TWG. But I just want to, tell our audience that, this congressman that I know, first, I want to thank you for this time. Thank you again for bringing us to your home. And thank you for making our audience see a millennial congressman dun sa mga na nanonood sa amin na gusto pong manood ulit sa susunod pong linggo. Nandito ho kami ulit. Pwede nyo kaming sundan sa aming MTRCB Facebook and MTRCB UNCUT, the YouTube channel. Till the next time, thank you very much. Please be safe. And to all of you watching us, see you next week.